What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the OBR Prospect Spotlight here on the OBR Streaming Network. My name is Jacob. You can find me on X at Roachism13. You can find me on Blue Sky at Jacob Roach. Before we go any further in this video, please make sure you like and subscribe. You're subscribed to the OBR YouTube channel. You give this a thumbs up, helps us get in front of more people. So more people can see our content. We really appreciate you. Our YouTube just grows day after day after day, and Browns fans, you guys are the best. We love you and love making this content for you guys. I'm having so much fun. Today I want to talk about the running back class, and I titled this episode, How Good is the Running Back Class in the 2025 NFL Draft? Simply put, because we've talked about it. I've talked about it on the OBR, I've talked about it on these videos and written things, that it's an absolutely loaded, stacked class. And I wanted to go through some of the data and the stats and the numbers with you guys, just to kind of like see if I can put a little bit more context into how good it is. So a little peel behind the curtain on some of the things that I do. I love using PFF's data, not necessarily all their grades. I'm not like, oh, 90 guaranteed, boom, whatever. I use it as a nice baseline and jumping off point. But when I'm trying to look at stats and data, like, is this an elusive running back? Is this a power running back? Does he make people miss? Does he carry? Does he get a bunch of yards after contact? Where it is, their data is really well set up for that sort of thing. So for this episode, I wanted to talk through, I've got about 5 or 6 that I'm going to go to a little bit more detail on, but I'm going to go through some of this stuff. So I'm going to bring up their mock draft simulator here because I think it's a really easy way for you to see the data and the stats from these guys and really try to put into context just how good some of these guys are. So I'm bringing it up here. Obviously, we start with Ashton Jeanty. He is the unicorn. What's insane, and as I bring up some of these 2024 advanced stats, this is something I really love to look at because it can really show. Like, he has 171 zone runs and 173. He's incredibly balanced in both zone and gap running. He is truly a unicorn. He makes these ridiculous plays so routine. It's ridiculous to me most of the time, just kind of to see what he does. I was watching, I don't think it was the championship. Yeah, it was the championship game last weekend. And there's this run where like everybody on the field's all huddled here in the middle. And all of a sudden, Jeanty just pops out the right and is running down the sideline. And it's like, this dude does it all the time. The vision, power, elusiveness. I mean, look at it this way. He has almost 1,900 rushing yards after contact. That is 1,889 rushing yards after contact, and he's forced 134 missed tackles. He's averaging 5.5 yards after contact per attempt. He's got 2,400 yards, 7.2 yards per carry, 29 touchdowns, and he's got 116 receiving yards on 20 receptions. This is a top 5 player to me. Absolutely. If the Cleveland Browns they need to work on their offensive line for sure. There's a lot of things to be done, but this dude, as you can see, 1,800 yards after contact for Jeanty. He reminds me so much of Nick Chubb, and I know that people might kick back against that or whatever, but the vision, the power, the speed, the burst, it's all there. He's the complete package. He is that dude. A little bit smaller. I think he's 5'9", 215. He's got the size in terms of weight, but the 5'9", just a little bit short in stature, it does not hinder him in any way, shape, or form. I don't think the Browns will do it. I don't think they'll go off running back in the first round, especially that high, but he's 1,000,000% worth it. And he's at the top, and you're like, okay, well, that's the top. How does that make this such a deep class? Let's look at PFF's number 2 running back, actually my number 4, Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, and he's got 1,200 yards after contact, which is second behind Ashton Jeanty, 67 forced missed tackles, 1,600 yards, nearly 6 yards per carry, and this is not the top back in the class. And you're starting to sense a trend because you're going to see a lot of these guys with 1,500 or more yards getting 5, 6, 7 yards a carry, dragging people. Omarion Hampton's awesome, big, powerful, dense back. I like him quite a bit. He's very dense, well-proportioned build and frame. It's exactly what you want from that kind of thing. Really runs hard. Really runs behind his pads. He wants to inflict damage to the defender. He wants to run you over. He wants to embarrass you. Again, this is a first-round talent, but he's not. everything about his talent, his numbers, all the data that we have here for you on the screen, it screams really, really good running back. He's number 2. You're not getting enough talk about him because of how special Ashton Jeanty is. He has such good patience and vision. I think sometimes he gets a little too patient, and instead of taking a 4-yard gain, he looks for an 8-yard gain, and maybe it turns into a 1-yard gain or a loss or something like that. Really good footwork, likes to press the line of scrimmage. He doesn't really have a ton of the elite elusiveness. You kind of see that in the data. 67 forced missed tackles, which is 17th in the nation this year. But yeah, no, 38 receptions for 373 yards. Really, really matters. Puts him over 2,000 all-purpose yards this year. He's going to go somewhere. He's a really good, really talented player. And that's your number 2. We're going to continue. Let's see if there's a drop off when we get to our number 3 guy. Oh, Kaleb Johnson with 1,500 yards, 1,000 yards after contact, and 66 forced missed tackles. Yeah, no, not really seeing any drop off yet, are we? I mean, Jeanty is on his own special level, but this is another guy that in a lot of years could be your running back 1, and he's the running back 3 or 4 or somewhere around there. I've got a lot of these guys grouped together, but like he's PFF's running back 3, and yeah, like you can see the numbers here, some of the advanced metrics for Kaleb Johnson, the Iowa running back right here, but some stuff that watching him on tape, some things that I really enjoy about Kaleb Johnson. Very decisive. Sometimes, and I talked about it a little bit with Omarion Hampton, sometimes guys try too hard to create when something's not there. Kaleb Johnson understands if something's not there and understands to put his head down, his shoulders down, make the play, and take what is given there. I think he's a really good pass protector. I think that is not talked about enough with some of these prospects. I think Omarion Hampton can do it. I think Ashton Jeanty can do it. But you're talking about these complete packages. Kaleb Johnson is a guy that really does it really well. His size, I love his size, 6 foot, 200 pounds. He's that guy. I think he can be a workhorse for you. 240 attempts this year. Really, only one big season, as you can see there. He has a, plays a little bit, gets 700 yards in 2022, only 400 last year. So really just the one massive yards. But you look at the 4.42 yards after contact, another guy, our 3rd guy so far on this list that has over 1,000 yards after contact. You're talking about a guy that he's just not going to go down easy. He is going to make you work for it. And you may think he's a dense big back, and he's not, his elusiveness in open field is not elite, but he's got 66 forced missed tackles. So it's not bad. It's not bad. And again, running back 3, and just continue to go through this class as we're going to do a couple more of these names. We've got 3 more names to talk about, and we're just continuing to go down the list. And you're continuing to be like, this guy could be a running back 1 in a class that didn't have Omarion Hampton and Quinshon Judkins and Ashton Jeanty. And we could keep going down this list, and it keeps just being really good. The thing about it is I'm about to talk about a couple of guys that are going to go day 2 because you're just not going to fit a bunch like 6 guys in the first round by any stretch of the imagination at this position. It's just not where the NFL is. But you're starting to talk about the Browns being able to take a guy like Kaleb Johnson on day 2 of the draft, a guy that had 1,000 yards after contact in day 2. And because that's just, and some of these guys are going to fall because of how deep it is, because of how good this is, because there's a guy, I think there's like 10 to 12 guys in this class that if you take them, you're going to be very happy, and probably even more. And you're probably going to get onto round 4, round 5, and you're going to get a starter. You're going to get a starting running back, a running back 1 that maybe needs a complimentary piece, and maybe that's Nick Chubb. But it's very, very interesting. So let's keep going down the list. Let's go to one of my favorite guys, one of the Ohio State guys, Quinshon Judkins. Of course, splitting time with TreVeyon Henderson. So some of the numbers aren't quite, only 146 carries, but 5 yards per carry, 446 yards after contact, 36 missed tackles force. One thing that stands out with Quinshon is his ability to hit the home run. He's had a couple of big runs called back against him with some penalties and some things like that, or his numbers would be even better. But the acceleration and the pop, he's got it. If he gets into the open field, and gets an opportunity to create a home run, to create an explosive play, get downfield, he's going to do that. He's a very good pass catcher, 15 out of 19. But you see in last year, 22 receptions. I think he can be a really good, really adds to his value, especially on third downs, his ability to create. And you see him just like with Ashton Jeanty, 70 zone attempts, 76 gap attempts. So he's scheme versatile. They've used him in both sense, and you can see his zone and gap rate grades from PFF are about the same. So there's no drop off. So you're not worried about trying to fit him into your scheme. And this is a guy that if he was, still at Mississippi State, you see his numbers in 22 and 23 at Mississippi State, not Mississippi State, Ole Miss. What am I doing here? Oh my God. But, again, this is a guy whose talent could be the best in this class. But unfortunately for him, there's about 15 guys that are going to really have an argument with it. He's just really compact build, good contact balance, difficult to bring down. He forces these missed tackles. I'll bring it back down here a little bit so you can see that. With the 36 missed tackles forced, he forces them both with power and speed. He just can attack you on every single level of the, and that's who he is. That's who Quinshon Judkins is. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about his teammate, and then I'm going to go down and talk about two more after that I really like, just a little bit further down here. And you guys tell me, do you like seeing the data? Do you like seeing these numbers, or do you want to see straight stats? You tell me how you want these episodes to go. So Henderson, this year, obviously the 26 forced missed tackles, 437 yards after contact, 700 yards, 6.8, has less carries, though only has the 109 attempts this year. TreVeyon Henderson is going to be like the 5th or 6th running back off the board, and he's really good. Like, he is really good. He is a guy that if you get him in Cleveland, you're going to be incredibly happy. And you could probably get him in the 3rd round, because that's just, again, this class is so deep that's going to push guys down, because you're going to come on the 2nd round. You're going to be like, do I take Kaleb Johnson in a loaded running back class, or do I take, the offensive tackle class? I'm working on some stuff with Sam Penix right now to try to get that all up and good for you guys. Am I going to take an offensive tackle in a class that's just got so many question marks, but I've got a good one in Wyatt Milam right here? I'm going to probably take the offensive tackle or the wide receiver, because it's not a crazy, let's say there's a wide receiver there that you love. It's not a crazy deep wide receiver class. And it's like, oh, I'm going to take the wide receiver because I love Kaleb Johnson, but I could get TreVeyon Henderson next round in the 3rd. That's absurd. It's absurd to be able to get that kind of talent, that kind of proven talent like TreVeyon Henderson in the 3rd round. And again, that's why I begged the question coming into this. How good is this class? Really good. Long speed. It's really good. He will break away from the pack once he gets the stride out. I think his acceleration, not quite there all the time, but once he gets there, it's there. I think he can be, his short area explosiveness is very good. The start, stop, change direction, that kind of stuff is elite. He's not a bulldozer. Like, he's not looking to always run you over with power, but don't underestimate him or he will. He's got enough pop. I think he's really good pass blocker, good vision, good footwork, quick, decisive. Like I said, the short area explosive ability is really nice because of the way he can just start, stop, change direction, really athletic. And then once he gets into the open field and he starts to stride it out and get to that top speed, bye. Bye. And this is a guy that's probably going to go in the 3rd round, because there's 4 or 5 other guys that people like more than him. And it's not an indictment on him at all. It's just, it's what this class is. And it's just absolutely insane. So let's go to, and you say, okay, well, those are your top guys. Those are the top guys on the PFF big board. And I actually think I kind of tend to agree with that ranking of those guys. Okay, we talked about some top guys. Let's scroll down a little bit. Let's get down in here. Calvin Nunn is fine. Tahj Brooks is a guy that's, what do they have him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th. And I think Tahj Brooks is a starter in 2025. And they've got him outside of the top 10. Tahj Brooks, the running back from Texas Tech this year, 1,500 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. Yards after contact, 864 with 58 forced missed tackles. 26 carries of 15 or more yards, which is fourth in the nation. This is the 11th ranked prospect on this particular big board at the position. That's how good this class is. That is where this class is. If you're looking for a violent guy, you're looking for I know a lot of people that will tell you right here, right now, that they think Tahj Brooks is a first round talent. And other, I'm not there, because he's probably a late day 2, early day 3. But I know some people that think he is the dude in this class. Like, he's one of those guys. And there's so much variance in these rankings because of how much talent there is. If you are looking for a violent, physical downhill runner, you found him. Tahj Brooks is that guy. Really scheme versatile. You can see it here: 165 zone attempts, 120 gap. And you can see the zone and the gap. Gap is a decent bit higher at 85, but the zone grade is still at 75. So I still think he can do those sorts of things. Yards after contact, pass protection, another guy like that, big physical guy that wants to, he's just so violent. He's got a heck of a stiff arm. Like, that dude, like, you know, you've enjoyed some of the Nick Chubb stiff arms over the years. You would enjoy some Tahj Brooks stiff arms. And it's just, the dude's just really, really fun, really special. But yeah, if you're looking for that guy, you know, his short area quickness and his open area elusiveness and kind of the long speed, it's not really there. But if you're looking for a between the tackles, runs downhill, is going to give you everything he's got and is going to fall forward for a yard or two extra on just about every play, then Tahj Brooks from Texas Tech makes a ton of sense. One more guy. I will do one more for you guys to wrap up this week's episode. And where was I lost track. Where did he go? There. Talked about my guy RJ Harvey, but just some more numbers on him. 897 yards after contact, 69 forced missed tackles, 32 carries of 15 yards. Explosive big play waiting to happen. And on this big board, they have him as the 134th ranked prospect. And what Tahj Brooks is, you know, he's what? Tahj Brooks 11, 12, 13. He's the 14th ranked guy, and he has 1,500 yards, 6.8 yards per carry after 1,400 yards last year. So to the last 2 years, you know, you're talking over 3,000 yards on the ground. And you can see as a pass catcher, over 200 yards receiving all 3 years. So he does really well there. A little bit shorter. The top speed for RJ Harvey is not going to be elite, blow you away, but he's going to get to it like that. And he's a guy that's the 13th or 14th running back on a lot of people's big boards. And I think he steps in and can be the 1A to somebody's, or can be the 1B to somebody's 1A right away as a rookie. And it's insane just to talk about that, about a guy that's probably a 4th or 5th round pick. But that's it. That's his class. Those are the highlights of what I think is an absolute reloaded running back class. So I hope this video kind of did what I wanted it to do and talked about how loaded and how awesome this running back class is and why the Browns should 100% be in on it. Thank you guys so much. Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel, like this video. I'll be back with Bill Sparks next week. We're going to talk about the top safeties in this class and some guys that we like for the Browns, and a very sneaky good safety class this year. So thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys again next week. As always, go Browns.